Hey guys, so we're gonna do nothing. Well, okay, so it's tangentially Mustang related. We're gonna be putting together a sandblasting cabinet from Harbor Freight. This was something that a friend of mine, David, loaned me to use because, well, he had it and he had never actually unboxed it. It was still in the box. And so he saw I was working on the Mustang, said, "Hey Trip, bet you can use this to help clean off parts." And I said, "Yep, I can." So he's loaning it to me. Of course, I had to put it all together. So that's what we're going to do now. Put it together, me, myself, and I. Even though it says you should have 2 people, I'm going with 3. Me, myself, I. Anyway, so we'll move over, get this thing unboxed, and start putting it together. Okay, I'm quite sure where you can see me, but we're going to do the unboxing of our sandblast cabinet from Harbor Freight. See, it's a central pneumatic, item number 93608. It's a 24-inch, I'm sorry, let me see here, what's the dimensions? It's 33 inches wide by 22 inches deep by 22 inches high. And 14 inches high on the front. So overall dimensions are 36.5 by 23 by 54.5, which you get on the stand. We're going to unbox this thing thanks to my friend David for letting me borrow this. It's actually his. It's been in his mom's basement, I think. He's never used it, obviously, but he said I could use it for my Mustang, the 67 that we've been working on this one. So let's see what we got. I'll go ahead and get strap thing out of the way. And pretty much where the box is where I plan to stick the cabinet. Is the Mustang's right over there. See what's got in here and then open up. Forward here. There. That. Let's see what we've got. Do now is bring you over here to look down just so you can see what it looks like when you first open it. So this is what it looks like when you first get it all open. We'll start pulling things out of it now. Looks like these are the legs for the stand. A piece of styrofoam. You have the instruction manual, assembly manual, whichever. Another big piece of styrofoam. Styrofoam. It looks like haven't already assembled. Looks like it might be, which means this has got a whole lot easier. I thought I had to put this thing together. What I'd seen on all the YouTube videos required assembly. All I have to do is pull it out of the box. It's just got a whole lot easier. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Looks like it's already assembled. Now I just got to put the stand together on it, at least for the most part. Let's double check things. We'll open up the good old instruction manual here. Get this opened up. It's probably always a good thing to open these up and look at them anyway. No, I'm a guy. You're not supposed to read instruction manuals because that's not the guy thing. But let's see. So we start off in the manual. You will see it, obviously the cover. Get in, got your basic warnings, safety precautions, technical specifications, more safety, tool use care, grounding, service instructions. Apparently for those that don't know how to plug it in, it's got how to plug it in. Extension cords, gauge, recommendations. Yeah, it already comes pre-assembled. Some pictures. Actually, turn where you can see it. This would help. And figuring it. Not a lot to these instructions. Guess I'll find out when I actually go to use it if they make a lot of sense. Anyway, see all that. Let's continue with our unboxing and trying to slide this thing out now. This look like the bottom is connected. So there we go. Just roll it slowly around. See and show y'all what we got. It's the fun trying to do this myself. So bring it up. So here you can see we've got the bottom hopper as a separate piece there. And then this is what the inside of the cabinet looks like. See, it's got the fluorescent lights in there. A lot of folks suggest replacing that with a different type of light fixture, whatnot. I may do that later once I see how well it works as is. We got the hole over there, which is to vacuum out the dust. Is your sandblasting for with your shop vac. We'll come around just so you can see. You have the door on this side for putting the parts in. Another hole in the back, which I'm not entirely sure. Oh, air intake, I think, for when you're vacuuming out, get some air flow in. And there's the outlet there. So we'll get and keep moving on with this so far. Powerful light. Hopper, the bottom, there. And the box. Let's see what's in this box. Overall packing material don't seem horrible, not the greatest. I'm not sure why that's all bulged up. Of course, I don't know how long it's been sitting in David's mom's basement either. Okay, so in here, oh, it's a little chilly out here. I don't know, for people up north, southern, it's like 40 degrees here, which is chilly because I'm in the south. So. Plastic covers for something. I don't know what that's for. We got a cover for one of the holes in there. We have the intake tube for the material. I'm gonna have to look at this. There's several videos about modifications to this that help improve the uptake with this tube. It involves cutting one side about an inch up, drilling through both sections to allow airflow, and then smashing one of these. So I have to look at that, the intake tube. Get another cover for the holes. So this is the tape padding they give to seal up the hopper, although everybody recommends go back in and caulk that up, which I will do. Warmer, wind blowing stuff. I'm not sure what these are for, these purple things. I'll try to research and put something in the video link for what those are. Text. And you get bolts to screw cabinet parts together, the stand and all that. So it's all the hardware for that. We have some Teflon tape. And then we have spray. Oh, that's what those purple things are. They're the nozzle controls to control the amount of material flowing in and out of there. So this is the spray gun in the cabinet. One of these goes to sides to an air fitting, which I assume is this one, is the air. And then this is the material uptake, I'm guessing. Would make sense. Okay, so that's what this is. Put this stuff back in here. Don't want to lose any of the stuff. More styrofoam. So this is actually stuff that goes into the bottom of the cabinet for holding your parts in there. Great. And then this is the bottom, I think, that the hopper attaches to, I believe. So, okay. Back to the instruction manual. Okay. What I'm going to do now, I've got all the parts out, is start working on putting it together. So let's see, where's that? Looks like I'm gonna need a big Phillips head screwdriver and a socket wrench of some sort. So I'm gonna go figure out what I need for these, and we'll be back. So okay, we started putting it together. I've got at least loosely fitted 3 of the 4 legs, but I thought I'd show you all a couple things down here. One of the comments that I have seen on this Harbor Freight cabinet is that all of the seams need to be caulked to keep dust from getting in there. And so what I want to show you is that the seams in here seem to be pre-caulked. So this may be a slightly newer model than the ones they're talking about on the the videos on YouTube, but I think you can kind of see what I'm talking about in there with all that. So that's one less thing we have to do. Now we may have to put on the bottom around here where that tape is, caulk that seam in there some, but we can do that. So another thing I've learned in putting in the legs here on the bottom, especially if you're doing this by yourself, if you have something that you can wedge up here underneath, I actually use my foot up here to get these screws in that are in the bottom of the leg, you know, there and there. That seems to help. And of course, as I'm putting these in, I'm doing so finger tight, not full on, so I can make sure that once I get the rest of the pieces on there, I can do that. Also, a little something, the instructions I'm finding are very vague, and the pictures, well, they are not very good. So, the instructions say to, see, I can pull them up here, and you can see them. So get to the page. Okay, so you can see here, it says attaching legs. Lay the cabinet on its side, which I've done, and there's the picture. That's how I have it oriented. Insert short bolt 31B through leg 13 into cabinet. Slide washer, lock washer, and thread nut on 31B. Okay, so what I found is with this particular model, in this bag of hardware, there's no lock washers, but they do have these nuts that look like they have a kind of a built-on washer and flanged out anyway, that have, whoops, get back to that over here, they have these grooves cut in, so that should help lock it in place. So what I've been doing, right or wrong, is I've been taking the nut, or I'm sorry, the bolt screw, putting the washer on it like so, and then feeding that through the leg and through the cabinet. I don't have the leg up here, so it'd go through and pretend the leg is there, and then putting the nut on the back end of that, like you can see there. Again, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it seemed to make the most sense to me, so that's what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get this other leg on, and then move to the next step, which is to connect the funnel or the hopper at the bottom. So I'll go ahead and get this leg on and do that. Okay, so we can see frame there, like so. Okay, so directions say to put this up and punch through the holes here they're already punched. I just want to make sure they're good enough to go through. So we can get this thing mounted. What we got to do is put the hopper underneath that and we'll start running some screws through it. Well, so this out of the way. Hopper is best I can tell. Okay. Now again, trying to do this by myself. Now we're going to put this in here. Now the instructions say to do this with 2 people and stand it on upright while doing this. Now I don't have 2 people, so I'm doing this by myself. Now it is important to note, putting together that this thing, which is where you'll empty the media from, this hopper here, is pointing where the gloves are up at the top of the cabinet to make that work. So what I'm going to do here is open the door on the side here so that I can hopefully get a Okay, we have her all together now. Well, at least the cabinet part, don't have the hose and all that in there, but you can see we got her all screwed in there. You can see underneath the gloves. Put together fairly easy now. I'm with a couple of tips doing this by myself. So especially with dealing with that bottom tray shelf, thing. So you definitely want to have, if you're doing this by yourself, you need some things to stick in and hold up sides as you're doing it. So you can see I have a punch and a little awl there. I have my other little awl punch thing there. So I was able to hold up 3 sides of the shelf with those, which gave me time to run some of the bolts in and get them started. And then once I got at least one bolt and nut on each corner, then I was able to pull those out and get the rest of them in there. So just a little note, if you're doing this by yourself, said not the easiest thing to do in the world, but it is definitely possible to do it. And the nice thing is with those nuts having that, you can see that there, having that rough edge on the back, that does grab into the box, into the metal, and allows you to, once you get them good and finger tight, to tighten them on the outside with your screwdriver, as long as there's actually a head on the screws. Because I did run into this funness. See if you can see that up there. Let's see if I can get it here. Focus on it. I don't know if you can tell, but there's no grooves. Phillip or slide or anything in there. So I may pull that one back out and replace it. I do have a couple extras there. So anyway, got the basic cabinet together, and I'm going to pull the box in because she's going to go sit right there, because there's my compressor there, and I have enough cord cable reach over there, and there's an electrical outlet right over there too. So, or I can move my compressor over next to it. But it's important to have electrical power for the light at the top, and then as well as the the vacuuming of the dust out. You gotta have some plug your shop vac into. So, okay, well folks, we're gonna call it there. A few little pieces and parts. I said I've got to do some modifications to some of these things, but I got the basic cabinet together. So yay me, I'm excited. So with that, hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you later.